Okay, we are live. This is so exciting. It's the last day of March. Can you believe we've made it?
Woo! Quarter one done, right? In our journey against diabetes, one more quarter gone. So that's cool. Well, Jamie, how are things?
Things are good. I am so excited. I've been waiting for this one. It's one of the most frequently asked for things that our Facebook group was looking for. How do I cook this? How do I get a healthy recipe? So I am so excited for today.
Excellent. Guys, thank you for joining today. As you come in, please say your name, tell us where you are from. And please know that if you are watching later, definitely leave us comments, ask us questions, and we will definitely respond. Now, that's kind of cool. I must admit, I have a pretty complicated relationship with food. And at the end of the day, it should be all joyful and everything, right? Food, a way to celebrate and to bring people together. Food is not just a nutritional phenomenon, it's a social phenomenon. So I think all of that is good. But at the end of the day, it's such an important piece in diabetes management. And both personally and professionally, I have a pretty complex relationship with food. But I think that will get simplified today. Vicky, hello from Waterloo, and Roxanne from Dubuque, and Rohan from Hames. Hi, everybody. Christy, hello.
Thanks
So,
for joining us, guys. And just like you were saying, I think you're not the only one with this complex relationship with food because it's emotional, it's social. There's so much that goes on with food. And one thing that we've asked you guys again to do is pre-submit questions. So I am going to ask this question to you, Dr. B. It's more of a comment, but the listener is saying, I really hope some of the recipes that we learn about today are low carb and lower calorie. He's got a really hard time finding good lower carb meals because he finds that the lower carb meals are often higher in calories, which means that you can potentially gain weight from that.
yeah, I think so. It is a challenge. People will market, companies will say, oh, this is no sugar added, but there's a lot of other stuff added. And you got to look at both. There's a third thing I would say you got to look at, calories and carbs as a patient with diabetes, but also taste. It should be tasty. And I'll tell you, there's way more choices in the US that fit all these three. It's just a matter of working hard to find out. We have exposure to at least 30, 50 different countries' food here, right? So if you are willing, there's a way to do it. And over these webinars and things, we will help you with that. And our speaker today will help you with that as well in some ways.
Yes. Really excited to introduce you guys to him. I think it's 1 o'clock, 1:01. So why don't we go ahead and get started?
Excellent. Well, everybody, welcome. This is kind of super exciting. And one of the things I remember from a long time ago, used to do group medical appointments. So everybody will be sitting in the room, and we were talking about nutrition one day. And one of my patients said this, and I remember it forever. He said, I know the best diabetic diet. Okay, what is it? He says, if it tastes good, spit it out. We all laughed at it. To some extent, it's true. But frankly, I really believe that our speaker today will really prove that wrong. So please join us to get a demo from a diabetes cooking expert, somebody who has 3 different books, best-selling cookbook author. So we will get started with that in a moment, and you will get to see how to cook something easy, simple, without much pain and cost. Just as an intro, I'm Dr. B, just dedicated for last 25 years or more to diabetes and changing diabetes. And that's what we do here, trying to change diabetes as much as we can for the better. So today is about appetizers. In future, you will see more things from our expert. We'll talk about some healthy, simple spring things or goods to consider, and other healthy eating tips for patients with diabetes. And now, as you know, I never do these things alone. I can't. My partner in crime is Jamie. So Jamie is here as well. And Jamie, take it away. And by the way, hello to Tyler and Carla and Tim and Rob. We're getting all of Iowa covered. So that's really good.
We're getting the 4 corners covered. We've got the center covered here in Des Moines. So I am happy to see so many familiar names. Even though I've never met you guys, I love seeing your names every couple of weeks. Just a reminder, we will be announcing the Community Builder Award for March. So the person that's been interacting and trying to create that strong community on Facebook, the one that's going above and beyond and trying to cheer each other on to really change diabetes in Iowa. So we're going to announce that winner at the end of the session today. And we actually are going to be giving away a cookbook from Chef Robert Lewis. And he said it will be autographed. So you'll get an autographed cookbook from Chef Robert Lewis. And so we'll get your contact information and he'll send you out that book. So we're super excited to do that. Speaking of which, I think we've got a quick poll just to get things started. We want to know, what is your basic cooking level? So, how would you rate yourself as a cook? Expert, pretty okay. Okay, average, bad, worst cook in America. And I had to put that one in because that is the TV show that my kids and I are watching right now. It's a hilarious TV show. So.
Well, as you guys put in, I'll just claim that I'm capable of burning toast and bringing down the fire alarms and everything. So one day I cleaned the toaster, put toast in, and then left, and turns out there's smoke bellowing from the. So you can take a guess where I am fitting in. But after today and Robert Lewis demo, I will be up in from bad to okay, I think. Yeah, we have some people here who are 2s and 3s, pretty okay. So by saying enjoy cooking, but not an expert. Subha, come on, I know who cooks at your house. And Rohan is going for the worst cook. Okay, he's spoiled.
Cereal is hard.
Yeah. Sure. Excellent. No, thank you for that information. So.
Yeah, it's great. So now I think we're really excited to do the introductions.
Excellent. So ladies and gentlemen, or is there something else?
Yeah, one other. So do the introductions, and then I do have a question for both you and Robert. So go ahead and introduce them.
Excellent. Yep. All right. So as I said, our speaker is going to prove the statement wrong. If it tastes good, spit it out. That is not the case. So Robert Lewis, happydiabetic.com. What an amazing guy. He has a passion for food and teaches culinary in Eastern Iowa. Got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and he said, I'm going to do something about it. And his thing was, I want to share this passion for food. You can have healthy, tasty food that's easy to make, and that's what we will see today. He's nationally recognized, has written 3 books. I met him at the Hy-Vee Fluor Drive maybe 13, 14 years ago, and we did a thing together and really enjoyed it. So got him to our Taking Control of Your Diabetes program, and he has been doing those all across the nation. And as you guys know, our faculty, we bring fun back. He is really fun and passionate about cooking and knowledgeable and caring it. So I'm just excited. So I'm happy to introduce Robert Lewis. Robert, welcome to our show, and we're just excited to have you here.
Thank you, Dr. B. Thank you, Jamie, for having me. I'm super excited to be here. No one loves you guys more than me, so thank you all for being here today, and everyone on the chat room. We're in for a great next few minutes.
Okay, so here's my question for you guys. This was pre-submitted, and I believe it's from Vicky, and she's always looking for quick and easy breakfast. She's not a fan of eggs, and so it's hard to get away from the high carb breakfast items. What kind of advice do you have for Vicky for quick and easy breakfast items?
If she loved eggs, that would be easy because that is a really good nutritious food. But I would use vegetables like spinach and red onion and tomatoes and do kind of a nice vegetable mixture. You can even take sliced avocado on some whole wheat, really tree barky bread and make some avocado toast with a nice tomato saute, red onion garnish on top. That would be really delicious.
All right. May I say mine? Now, we did a show on this many months ago with Madhu Gadia, a dietitian from AIM. So being from India, there's a lot of lentils and beans varieties. and we actually do eat them for breakfast. And you just cook them once in a pressure cooker, and then you can have a certain quantity every morning. And there's about 5 or 7 of them that I use, so I never get bored of them. And they're really nice combination of protein and carbs, which is packaged extremely well and really unprocessed because it's just a grain and pressure cooker. So if our team could post that webinar later on, that would be good too. Those are some great sources for carbs.
Yeah. And certainly she can go to my contact site page on my website, email me, and I'd be happy to email her some recipes and some other suggestions.
Awesome. I think that's good. So now I think we're ready for you, Robert, to start doing the cooking demonstration. So we're ready for you to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm really excited about this appetizer dish. It's my shrimp scampi of love. So I have Amy on the camera. She's helping me today. And Amy, let's take a look at our ingredients right now. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're cooking with today. So I have some delicious shrimp. And these shrimp have been cleaned. I have fresh tomato, fresh lime, feta cheese. And if you don't like feta, you can use blue cheese. You can use Parmesan cheese. I've got some fresh garlic, some basic salt and pepper. But let's talk about our oils really quickly. So what I like to use is monounsaturated fats. They're going to be the healthiest fats on the planet. So I'm always going to reach for canola oil, right? Now, if I could come over to your house and hang out with you for a few minutes this afternoon, I always like to route around in your pantry to see what you've got. And I'm guessing you've got bottles like this that say vegetable oil. So not a healthy oil. You only paid $1.99 for it. I toss it away. I'll even send you a check for $1.99 to buy some brand new canola oil. Monounsaturated fat, healthier for you. I'm also going to use a couple different olive oils today. I've got a basic olive oil, and all these ingredients I bought at my local supermarket. But this is just basic olive oil, about $5 or $6 for a container. Good for all-purpose cooking. And I've got some a little higher end. This happens to be a Hy-Vee brand cold press olive oil, which I'm going to finish the dish with. But now, I did say healthier. These oils are healthier, better for you. But here's what you have to remember. Fat is fat. It's pure weight-gaining, calorie-causing fat. There's about 128 calories per tablespoon. So easy does it. So today, like usually when I cook, I'm going to cook in a nonstick pan because I can just use less oil when I do that. I've also got some oregano and basil, which I always like to use. And I've also got some fresh basil we're going to be using today. But listen, don't get excited. If you don't have fresh basil, you can always use dry basil. But here's the secret. Never just take the basil and sprinkle it on the dish you want to do it. Put some in your hand. Break it up. Give it a little bit of love like this. And that will rejuvenate the oil in the herbs and bring them back to life. And then you just sprinkle them on the plate or on the dish that you're working with. So that's
it.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So I have a quick question for you about the canola oil.
Yes.
I have not cooked with it as often. And I'm always concerned about that burning point, right? Olive oil kind of burns at a lower temperature.
It does.
How is the canola oil?
You can fry chicken in this. You can fry fish in this. It's a super good high heat oil. It's a great question. And there's no flavor.
Okay.
Right? Whereas olive oil tastes like olives, right? It's got flavor, right? So I oftentimes will use this in combination. A little bit of canola oil and a little bit of olive oil, high heat cooking and the flavor of olive oil.
Okay.
So two things I want to say.
You should win a free cookbook for that.
Yeah. So the canola I'm a big fan of as well. That's what we use at home. And then I have some olive oil. After today, I know how to use it. So that's good.
Yeah.
Robert, I have a question for you. So
Yes.
the dish you are making is with shrimp. Now, my question is, if we had vegetarian on our call today, could they replace it with something else and still make a dish?
Absolutely. What I would do is I would take a mixture of broccoli and asparagus, sauteed the same way. olive oil, garlic, the herbs and spices, just build it the same way. You can use zucchini, you can use yellow squash. It would be amazing, absolutely. And listen, if you don't like shrimp, use chicken. You can do that also. And this is one of those dishes that I'm going to show you the canvas and the frame, and you're going to create your own portrait if you want.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
This recipe, Doc, I mean, this is ordinary ingredients turned into something extraordinary. Simple and easy, love at first bite.
Beautiful. There are a few questions coming in as well. Yeah, Morgan talks about veggie oil versus canola. That definitely is a big deal. Most people don't know this, so and that's probably the number one tip today for everyone.
And how about if I start, and Doc, help just for a time? How
Yeah,
about if I
please, go
start
ahead.
Cooking, and we'll answer questions. So
Excellent.
I've got a little bit of extra virgin olive oil going in my pan. I'm going to use about a tablespoon. I've got my heat about medium. And I know when this is ready to add the shrimp because the olive oil will start to shimmer. I've got my fresh garlic here. Amy's going to get a close-up picture of good chopping garlic. There we go. And I've got a couple cloves of garlic.
That's exactly how I do it. Just kidding, of course. No.
Just remember to keep your fingers out of the way, right?
Oh, yes. Good point. Good point. Yeah.
So the garlic is going in. And I can start to hear the garlic sizzling. So I know that I know we've got the temperature right. I've got my shrimp, and I have cleaned this shrimp, but the easiest way to do it is just take a knife, cut the back of it like this, and then if there's anything in there, you'll just remove that. So I'm going to add the shrimp to the dish, and this shrimp is going to cook very, very quickly. So while that's sauteing, I'm going to take my tomato. This is a Roma tomato, and I'm going to cut some slices. I'm going to lay it out on my plate like this.
And as you're doing that, the other substitute somebody recommended was instead of chicken or broccoli to add tofu also. So Carla mentioned that.
I'm going to give the shrimp a flippy flip. And listen, don't get excited. If you can't do the flippy flip, do the stirry stir.
By the way, somebody did mention coconut oil and high temperature tolerance. It's one of the unhealthier oils. There's a lot of consumption of coconut oil in southern India and has been linked to issues with heart disease. So I'm not a big fan of using coconut oil per se.
If I tried to do the flip, it would end up on the floor.
No, you could definitely do this. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of kosher salt, just a very little, and I'm going to season really high opposed to low, because when I season it high, it gives the chance for the particles to kind of spread.
Okay.
I've got a little bit of fresh cracked pepper that's going to go in.
There's a question about, can you use minced garlic, I think? And what is it?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of times what I'll do, if I was home, I would buy the garlic in the jars that they got by the produce section. I use that all the time.
Okay. About how much is one clove?
What's that?
If she wanted to use one clove of garlic, how much, like what tablespoon?
About a teaspoon of that garlic.
Okay.
It works out just about right. So my shrimp really is almost done. So now I'm going to take my tomatoes. We'll get a good tight shot of that. I'm going to take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a drizzle like this. I have my feta cheese. Now again, you can use blue cheese, you can use feta, you can use goat cheese. We're going to put some crumbles right on here, just like this. And I've got a little bit of fresh basil. Now, I grow a lot of this outside on my patio, and I'm going to tell you, there's really no mystery to this at all. I'm just going to take a piece like this, Depending on who's coming over for dinner, I'll decide whether to wash it or not. I'm going to roll it like a cigarette, and I'm just going to give it a little choppy chop. Now, you guys know that garlic is really good for you?
Yeah.
Garlic has a lot of really great nutrition, vitamins, minerals, but did you know that garlic makes you sleep really good? It does. It makes you sleep alone, but it makes you sleep good. All right. I learned all these jokes from Dr. B, just so you know.
Oh,
Okay,
sure. I was going to say that one. There's a social benefit of garlic.
So I've got the basil, the tomatoes, olive oil, just like that. Maybe a little more cracked pepper because I love cracked pepper. And that's about it. My shrimp is done. I'm going to take the shrimp, the garlic, the oil, everything. Put it right on top of the tomatoes, just like this. And because I've got so much basil in my garden, I'm just going to grab a little bit like this. Listen, what I like about fresh herbs is that fresh herbs are nothing more than weeds. So you can't kill it. They're easy to grow. That's why I do really good with herbs. So here it is. Shrimp scampi of love.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Love it.
And easy. I mean, really, guys, how hard was that?
Yeah.
I mean, that was about 10 minutes. Quick.
No, that's amazing.
And if you're afraid of raw shrimp, buy the cooked shrimp. Then all you're doing is just heating it up.
About how many? So if that's our appetizer, about how many people would that serve?
This would be really great for 2 people.
2? Okay.
Yep. And I just checked my blood sugar. I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting too excited. I use a Libre 2 sensor. I'm at 179, trending down. So everything is good.
Awesome. It looks like you're getting lots of love, lots of comments saying how delicious it looks. And I would completely.
You know what? There's no way to really know. Yeah, it's amazing.
Next time we are doing this in person, he's like 3 hours away. If I wanted to eat it, I can't. He made one of my favorite foods and it's like three hours away. What's the point, Robert? What's the point? You need to move to Des Moines.
That's right. That's right. So again, for me, it's all about ordinary ingredients. Things that you can buy at your local supermarket. Everything here is available at every local supermarket. Simple and easy. And again, like I said, if you don't have fresh basil, take a little dry, sprinkle it, and away you go. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And I actually grow those weeds too. And I have so much basil, I have to freeze it every year. So.
You can't kill it.
No.
I mean, even when I forget to water it, it kind of wilts. It looks dead. And then I give it water and there it is.
Yep. Yep. That and oregano. My oregano comes back every year.
And you can buy this at your local Hy-Vee sells them, Dahl sells them, local supermarkets. And if you water it, keep it by your sink, it'll just be amazing.
That's a cool idea.
So I have a couple of questions, one for the audience. If you want to pull that up, Morgan. I want to know, what are some of your favorite spring foods? So we'll have the audience answer, and then I want to hear your 2 answers as well.
So for me, in this season, mango starts coming. And so for me, mango in many different ways. I can eat mango in so many different ways, but I love the mangoes coming at Costco right now, in other places, in the Indian store, just with bread, just raw. So many different ways to do it. So that would be one thing that jumps right to me right now. Robert, what's your deal? What do you like?
Let me ask you a question. Does macaroni and cheese count as a spring food?
That's a annual, like.
How about if I put mango on it? Does that count?
Sure, there we go. I think the color matches, so it's all just mine.
One of my favorite things to do for spring is to find a good farmer's market. And I love to explore all the amazing fruits and vegetables that are coming available in the springtime. For me, there's such a bounty of vegetables that are happening. Yeah, it's amazing.
I would have to agree with what some of the people are saying. Asparagus was my go-to vegetable in
Yeah,
this.
mine too. Holly, I totally agree. Ellen, I totally agree. Brussels sprouts, I also love.
Yes. I
Oh,
think of
yes.
those more in the fall. I don't know why, but I do know they like the cold weather.
Yeah.
I actually just planted my Brussels sprouts this last weekend. So
Oh,
I'm very
nice.
excited.
So I have a question about asparagus. I have not been able to figure out how to really cook them easily and uniformly at home because one side is narrower, the other side is thicker. So, Robert, could you guide us a little bit on that? I love
can.
asparagus, but
I
can't cook.
absolutely can. So here's what I will typically do with asparagus. Let's just pretend this is an asparagus. I'll hold it at one end, hold it at the other, and bend it. And usually where it breaks right about here is the hard, rooty, fibery area. Then what I like to do is I'll take it
Could we zoom in into Robert,
on a
please?
sheet pan, just like this, right? And I'll take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, drizzle it on the asparagus, a little salt, cracked pepper, some garlic, seasonings, 400-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes and roast them to their golden, nice, tender, loving doneness. And that's really easy. I love to do
Beautiful.
that same thing for almost any vegetable. Broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts. Oven roasting just brings out some amazing flavor and helps to cook it nice and even. A lot of recipes for that in my
Thank
cookbook
you.
for roasted vegetables.
I'm seeing a lot of comments. Eggplants from Zuba, strawberries for several people, plums, lettuce, spinach, peas. So I think here's the thing. I think we might have a selected sample here of people, but I am finding everybody's loving things that are healthy too. Right? That's fantastic. That this the season to eat yummy and healthy at the same time.
Yeah.
There are some questions that got missed from the top. I'm just going to go back to. I think we missed something. People are asking, where are you located, Robert?
So that's a great question. So I live 2 hours, about 2.5 hours east of Des Moines. I live in the Quad Cities, Bettendorf, Iowa, right on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River.
Okay.
Yep.
And Carla is saying, yes, he does need to come here and open a restaurant here in Des Moines. So just you have an invitation.
Carla, I would consider it, but my psychiatrist has recommended I do not do that.
Excellent.
Got another question for you two from the Facebook audience. This one I think more for you, Dr. B. She's noticed that she's been eating a late supper recently, like 8 p.m. or so. And how does that affect her morning sugar?
So great question. I think we need some time to burn the calories. So our sugars tend to peak in about an hour, stay up for 2, sometimes 3 and 4. And depending on what you eat, they could be high for several hours, depending on the combination of carbs, protein, and fat. I strongly recommend that people give at least 3 hours between food and sleep, not just for the sugar part of it, but reflux, sleeping better, and all of that. So see if you can, if there's any way to bring that to about 6 p.m. and then give 3 hours. Otherwise, you could be high at night and that could carry over to next morning. And then you find sometimes, hey, my sugars are high in the morning. So keep that in mind. If you must eat that way, then do check at bedtime to see where your sugars are and take some correction for it.
So one of my questions that I'll have for the audience, but really I wanted to know this from you, Chef Robert. What are some of the food staples in your house? What do you always have on hand?
Oh, that's a great question. So you'll always find lentils and beans, high protein, low-cost foods. I love those items. You'll always find carrots, celery, onions, lots of vegetables whenever I can. Always olive oil, always canola oil. A good selection of dried spices because they don't add any carbs or calories. Lots of garlic laying around. With those basic ingredients, I can do just about everything. Now, I use a little bit of salt today, but typically I don't use salt in my cooking, but always fresh cracked pepper. Now, at my Hy-Vee on aisle 6, they sell these little portable pepper grinders. They're about $1.99 a piece. They work really, really great. But those pretty much are my staples. Always going to have beans, always going to have lentils, always going to have a carton or two of chicken stock, beef stock, so I can make soups, that kind of thing.
Okay. Awesome.
And folks, tell us what are some of the food staples in your house.
Yeah.
Rohan says a lot of hot sauce. When I was young, I could do that too. Not anymore. So, yeah.
Scarlett's saying brown rice, onions, garlic, beans, lentils, peanut butter, celery.
Yep. You got to have
There
peanut
is.
butter. So I'm curious, chunky or smooth?
Smooth.
Oh, that's a debate that has started.
Chunky. It's got to be chunky. Now, my
Okay.
wife, it's got to be smooth, but for me, it's chunky.
I think we should do a peanut butter is one of those food that arouses deep emotions of either love or hatred.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't like peanut butter at all. So I think we're going into this topic that will arouse a lot of emotion. Somebody did ask a question which digresses. But Robert, finish your thought and we'll
I was
answer.
just going to say, when I typically shop, I'm always shopping mostly about 80% of the time on the outside aisles of the supermarket.
Mhm.
Fruits, cheeses, proteins, vegetables, and then once in a while I'll go back in for some Captain Crunch or for some tricks or something like that. But mostly outside aisles is where I shop.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. Yeah.
And I've got Vicky saying that she loves lots of fresh fruit, fresh veggies. She has dried beans, doesn't know how to use them. We'll post that video that we did about lentils and dried beans, and Madhu will talk a lot about how to use those. So
Those
A
are
pressure cooker is a good thing.
They are just so delicious, high in protein, and so inexpensive. They can really extend a dish very nicely.
Another question for both of you. We've posted from the audience. Would love to hear your thoughts on a low-carb ketogenic diet. I really want to grab my screen.
Yes, I am so ready.
That's why I'm holding
Yes.
it up.
Like I'm distracted. I didn't hear the question because Robert was distracting me.
What is your opinion on a low-carb ketogenic diet?
Okay.
Let me jump in first because for me, I like to think of my eating style, like what we see here, as a lifestyle way of eating, right? So lots of vegetables, proteins, lean proteins, all under the right guise of portion control, right? For me, it's all about eating what I love, but eating in moderation. So for me, I know people that eat diets like that. I'm not an expert on it. I really want to promote more of a lifestyle way of eating. Foods that you love in moderation, cooked in a delicious way. So with that, I'm going to let Dr. B answer that question.
Yeah, great. No, I think you and I have pretty much the same philosophy on food. Healthy and pleasant lifestyle changes that will last a lifetime. That's what I like to say. Now, in terms of low carb diet, it's something reasonable that people need to consider, and it has benefits. When you start going into the ketogenic, I have a little bit of a problem with that in my patients with diabetes. So if you do that, do it with caution and under strict consultation with your doctor on two things. Hey, how will it affect my blood sugars? And do I need to change certain medications, especially like insulin and sulfonylureas, glipizide, glimepiride like medicines? So I would say do it with caution. My other big problem with a diet that's aggressive and really designed to do something fast is that people tend to rebound. And that's why I say healthy lifestyle changes that will last a lifetime.
Yep, I
Right?
agree 100%.
So not a huge fan, but if people want to do it, we will help them through it, but with caution and so
Find
forth.
yourself a good dietitian that can help you to help guide and direct you.
So,
And which reminds us, we have several on our staff now.
You do,
We've
yeah.
hired two dietitians who can weekdays and weekends, evenings. So we have 24/7 coverage. If any of you want to see one of our dietitians, just reach out to us.
It would be the call I would make tomorrow. First thing, make an appointment with the dietitian. I can just tell you personally, Doc, Jamie, dietitian made a huge difference in my life because they really got to know me, my body style, my type, my loves, my hates, and they helped me to learn the foods that I really can incorporate into my lifestyle way of eating.
Beautiful.
now, Dr. B, one of the audience members asked, what is keto? What is Mediterranean? What is DASH diet? Those are three
Okay.
very popular diets right now.
Great. Robert, you want to start or should I? Go ahead.
I mean, I'll talk about the Mediterranean diet because I'm
Sure.
most familiar with that. That's heavy olive oil, garlic, basil, and herbs. A lot of Mediterranean style spices, lean meats, and nice fishes like salmon and sea bass and those kinds of things. Cooked nice and light, sauteed in olive oil, fresh herbs, not a lot of salt, yet lots of flavor, and not heavy sauces.
And when diets are evaluated, it's one of the best diets in terms of longevity, heart disease, and so forth, and cholesterol numbers. So I'm a big fan of Mediterranean diet. DASH is dietary approach to stop hypertension. And I prescribe that a lot to one of my team members in India. Was One of her relatives was struggling, and I said, "Go look at DASH diet. Can we put the link for DASH diet? It's focused on unprocessed food, less salt, more fruits and veggies, and it's from the government. They've done a really nice job of putting it together. There's a short and long version. And the keto diet, the concept is that you're restricting your carbs so much that the body now has to use fat to gain calories, which means it produces ketones. Associated with weight loss significantly, very powerful in weight loss, and will have a significant impact on your sugar. But the problem is the up and down. So of the three, I think the other two are my favorites, and I recommend them. And keto, if a patient wants to do it, I support them.
Now, Doc, I have to do one thing before we exit this broadcast
Sure.
because, I know it's hard to believe, but even I can forget and make mistakes because here's what I forgot. One of the most key elements was my fresh lime, right? So I'm just going to take a little bit of lime juice like this. Oh my gosh. Now it's even going to be more amazing. I better just check it. Oh.
We have to do this again. Now, this is not done. If you forgot lime, we got to do it again. And this time in Des Moines, in my office, so I can be the one making sure. Means, what is the point? You are running the experiment. You are the one saying it's good. Hey, you do the thing, and I be the judge next time.
Deal.
Right?
Deal.
Okay.
Well, you and I need to cook
All right.
together sometime. That's
Sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, this was very
Excellent.
good. Thank you guys for submitting your questions ahead of time. Robert, thank you so much for having you on. We're, like Dr. Bargava said, we are not done. This was the appetizer. We now have to get the entree on, and we just set the date today. So we are excited.
Thank you, Amy. I'm going to take a quick shot of Amy right here.
Thank you,
was my
Amy.
kitchen assistant today, helping me on camera. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
I get the pleasure of announcing the Community Builder Award for March. And so this person has done an amazing job working on our group, our Facebook group. If you're not a member, please join us. It's Iowans with Diabetes, and it's a place to support each other. And it can be for you, it can be for your spouses, your children, anybody who wants to know about diabetes. And so this person is Vicky, and I saw her on today. So Vicky, Robert is going to send you one of his best-selling cookbooks. He said he will autograph it for you. So you are going to get all of these recipes. So you just have to message us, and we'll get your information off to Robert, and he'll send it your way.
Awesome.
And Jimmy,
My mother always said that if I autographed cookbooks, they were going to be worth a lot more.
$143 per
Absolutely.
page.
On eBay.
Did you say per page? How many pages is it? So
How many
that's
pages?
a lot. Yeah, $143 per page. I think that's what you were
Something
saying.
like that, yes.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
yeah. Okay. Excellent. Oh, this has been great. Robert, you did a phenomenal job, and your love and passion for food shows. You've proven me wrong. If it tastes good, we can still have it, and it can be healthy and pleasant and enjoyable. So thank you for doing this today.
And we are going to be doing our next one on it. There's a typo. It's going to be on April 14th. It's not going to be on April 4th, April 14th. And we're talking about eye disease. So we've got a little play on words. Iowa diabetes, the importance of eye care for patients when people with diabetes. And we're going to be joined by an optometrist that day as well. So,
Dr. Ethan Heisman is joining us, and we are excited to have him. Again, the idea is that there's so many people who are can help you. And we wanted to bring an expert who is out there, trying to do what needs to be done for patients with diabetes to take care of their eyes and vision. So it'll
And
be pretty exciting.
Chef Robert, Tyler's asking, what website can he go to buy your book?
Only one official that I know about. Just kidding. HappyDiabetic.com. Yep.
Excellent.
And we'll put that out there as a link. We've got that link for you guys. So
And the recipe is online there for everybody. So, yeah.
Before we go, I do have to ask a question that's not related to today's. And the question was something about, does the vaccine affect diabetes? And I think it's worthy of answering that, especially when things are opening further and further. So the vaccine per se should not affect your sugars. Sometimes people will have mild symptoms. And if that happens and you're not feeling as well, your sugars may fluctuate a little bit. On the flip side, though, the upside is huge of getting vaccine for patients with diabetes. I've seen so many losses in people who are heavier or have diabetes that this is something I'm strongly recommending. So one other big message today is you got to get your vaccine. If you haven't already, please go ahead and get it, especially if you have diabetes.
I've got both my vaccines. I haven't seen any fluctuations in my blood sugars. And I didn't have any weird side effects, except I crave shrimp and tomatoes.
Okay, next time it will happen in Des Moines. Or it'll be a dish that I don't eat. How about that? All right, on that note, everyone, thank you so much for joining in our fight against diabetes. Let's change diabetes together.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.